Comfortable, imagine how often and how regularly the person you're trying to stand up for feels that way, and they don't even say anything to initiate it. They just are, and someone's attacking them for who they are without even being provoked.
Welcome to Invite Sent. We are a live streaming show where we interview people and play video games.
Help is on the way, dear.
Did he make it in? Did he get all 20? Yes, way to go. If you'd like to be on Invite Sent, be interviewed, and play video games, please go to bubbagadder.com and request to be on the show. And I'll let you know if the invite is sent. Yeah, get him.
There you go.
Welcome to Invite Sent. Boom! It's an issue with our industry for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Bubba, being in the fighting game community is a hot take for anybody watching.
If you're feeling uncomfortable, imagine how often and how regularly the person you're trying to stand up for feels that way, and they don't even say anything to initiate it. They just are, and someone's attacking them for who they are without even being provoked.
Welcome to Invite Sent. We are a live streaming show where we interview people and play video games.
Help is on the way, dear.
Did he make it in? Did he get all 20? Yes, way to go. If you'd like to be on Invite Sent, be interviewed, and play video games, please go to bubbagadder.com and request to be on the show. And I'll let you know if the invite is sent. Yeah, get him.
There you go.
Welcome to Invite Sent. Boom! It's an issue with our industry for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Bubba, being in the fighting game community is a hot take for anybody watching.
If you're feeling uncomfortable, imagine how often and how regularly the person you're trying to stand up for feels that way, and they don't even say anything to initiate it. They just are, and someone's attacking them for who they are without even being provoked.
All right, welcome, hello. Welcome to Invite Sent. We are a live streaming show where we... Hello. And welcome to Invite Sent, Season 3, Episode 19. I am so pumped today. I'm excited. Playing a game I've never played before, but that's what's going to be fun today. And that's what's fun about this show, is we get to interview people and make it difficult for them while we play video games. And I'm super excited to get to chat with our guests today. If you're here, feel free in the chat to say hello. We are live on multiple platforms. We are live on Kick. We're on 2 different Twitters. We're on YouTube's, 2 different YouTubes, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Thank you guys for coming in. Hello, welcome. Thanks for being here. Let's go. That's right. And we are excited. Hey, if you've been here before, if you haven't been here before, this is Invite Sent. It's a live interview show where we interview people and play video games and ask tough questions. Later this week, we're going to have Adrian Moliere as well on Friday. And next week, on Wednesday, we'll have Leon Winkler. And then in a few weeks, after I get back from a few different competitions and events, we're going to have some different folks like Alyssa Duran, who's now at Syracuse. Syracuse is where Joey went. She is at Shenandoah Esports, and Amy Doyle. It's going to be fun before I head out to London for a couple years. So thank you guys once again for being here. I'm super excited to play a new game. If you're live on any of the platforms, please feel free to say anything in the chat. Make sure we get this to our friends at Generation Esports who are watching in intently right now to see how everything goes. But I'm going to bring in my amazing guest today, Miss Heidi Albin. How are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Bubba?
I am super. I'm ready to play some pinball since I don't play it often, but I'm also really excited to get to know you because to be honest, when you started working in the esports world, when I first met you and writing curriculum together, I just thought, oh, here goes Christy bringing in another educator and trying to maybe they're mad with school. I have no idea. They're the Exodus. I have no idea. The Great Exodus. But I'm super excited to get to know you because we've hung out, but we haven't really talked. So hopefully you'll tell me something I don't know. What do you think?
Well, there's a whole lot of background to why I'm here.
Okay. Well, I'm going to jump into a game. We are playing some Pinball FX. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm going to select, classic. One ball. Come on. Practice. No, I have no idea what this is. We're just going to hit play and see how this goes. And I'm going to see. I know I did look at the controls. I used my shift. Actually, I can do it right here. So you can use my left and right shift. And I don't do this in real pinball, but you can nudge the table. I don't do that. I'm not cool enough to know it. Have you played real pinball before?
Yeah, when I was little, the Pizza Hut in our small town, Brush, Colorado, had a pinball machine, and it was the Addams Family. And my dad was really good at it. And so when we would go to Pizza Hut, we would play the pinball machine, and usually my dad would play because I liked watching, and then sometimes he'd have me do one of the paddles, and it was always a disaster when he let me play, but it was a fun way to hang out with my dad.
I love that. Well, I have never been good at pinball. I'm glad you have, son. Kyle Mullins, yes, you remember the pin. I do remember the Addams Family pinball machine as well. That's right, Kyle, over on Facebook.
That's a great one.
Yeah, that's really fun. So it does. If I just hit enter, it shoots it. I don't have like a. There's no like because it's electronic, I guess.
Right, not on this one.
Michael Russell says my dad has that exact pinball machine in his house. No way.
Oh my gosh.
That's crazy.
That is
so
very fun.
going back, what was the first video game you ever played?
So growing up, I didn't have a video game console, but we did have some hand-me-down first generation Game Boys. The white brick, that had the green screen that you couldn't see in the dark. And we weren't really allowed to play them very often, but we were allowed to play them when we went on family road trips. And so we would take turns as four kids in the car would take turns with the Game Boy. And the one that I liked the best was the Zelda, the original Zelda. And I had no idea how to play it. I just liked going around and hitting the chickens with my sword on the little pixelated green screen. And that is how my gaming history started.
With the Game Boy, yeah? Love the non-color Game Boy.
Yeah.
I love it. Yep. Okay, so how do you think I'm doing here if you're watching?
I think you're doing better than I ever do.
I don't know how to, I guess you nudge. Let's see the controls here. What in the world? What? Okay, that's camera. There's a nudge button, but I forgot which one it was. So, I guess nudging is to help you keep it from going down the gully. I don't know what the term is correctly there.
I don't know. I never use the nudge. I just push enter and then push the shifts.
Okay.
For the paddles.
Okay.
I'm not cool enough to understand the nudge either.
Okay. Well, I can nudge it now. Look at that. I'm making it. Okay. Oh, whoa.
Ooh.
I just hit the space bar over and over.
Wow.
Did you play? Okay, I wasn't paying attention. Did you play skee ball? Like arcade-wise, arcade games growing up, arcade systems?
Yes. So there is the most magical place in the world is a restaurant in Denver, Colorado called Casa Bonita. They recently just reopened, and they had an arcade at the top, and they had a skee ball, and I was better at the skee ball than I was at anything else. And they also had this game called Big Bertha, where it was like this big cloth doll, and you would throw balls into her mouth, and she'd say, "I'm hungry," and her stomach would inflate the more balls you got.
Right.
So, yep.
I love that. Okay. Thinking back, so Big Bertha, that reminds me of like Pee-wee's. What is the Pee-wee's Big Adventure? Was it the Big Bertha, the lady? No, not the game. It was a movie, and I feel like that's the lady's name. That was the truck driver who. Anyways, I don't know if you've seen Pee-wee's Playhouse.
I have not.
I'm 41, so I don't know. I'm much older than you, and I want to make sure.
Older than me.
Okay, the Mike Russell, if you're in, go ahead and share this on the Slack, and we'll have some people from Generation Esports come over and hang out with us. Okay, so you talked about your first game. What for you was more of a favorite game you had growing up?
I didn't have one. We didn't have a gaming console growing up. I grew up on a farm, and I did 4-H, and I worked, and that was just not a part of my life growing up.
Okay.
Lame answer, I know.
No, but like as you got old. So as you got older, then. So what about like high school, college?
Didn't play through high school or college, but as an adult, so when I became a teacher, I would come home and I would be so like overstimulated
Right.
and from all the students and all the questions, and I needed to disconnect. And so I started playing video games at that time. And my favorite kind are the RPG games that have open world and inventory capabilities. I don't actually like the battles in video games as much as I like just exploring the world and collecting things, building things. I'm kind of a completionist, and so I want to see every single corner of the map and every single dungeon and every single room. So I'm currently playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and I like that because it has more of that open world. My other favorites are the Elder Scrolls series and Fallout. My favorite of all time is Skyrim. And yeah, absolute favorite. Played that one through several times, also on VR, which was really fun.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you get sick?
Yes. Yeah, I could only play for a certain amount of time, and then I'd get motion sickness and have to stop, which was a good way to moderate how much I was playing. I also played Elder Scrolls Online, spent a lot of time on there.
Really?
And I really liked it, but what I didn't like about it was the multiplayer component, because I play video games to disconnect, and I don't want to have conversations with other people.
Right.
So, yep.
Wow. Now, let's go a little bit into career. You mentioned a little bit of it, and starting out for you, what were you doing before you got into education, and when was education a part of your life, teaching?
So before I was in education, I was a student. My very first job was teaching. I always knew I wanted to be a teacher, but I love science. And so I started out in the teaching program and felt like I just wasn't getting enough of the science background that I wanted. And so I got a degree in cellular molecular biology, and then I went to the transition to teaching program, and then I went into the program to get my master's in education. So I got a non-teaching degree knowing that I wanted to be a teacher because I felt like it would help me be a better teacher for my particular content. And since I'm such a nerd, I graduated college within 3 years, and so I started teaching. Got my first job when I was 21 years old, and this was at a school called Complete High School Maize, a little alternative high school in Kansas. And I had students older than me, and I looked like I was 12. And when we went on field trips, the other staff would have to tell the people at the field trip that I was a teacher, because if I told them, they'd be like, yeah, whatever, get back in your group, child. But I loved it. Yeah, best time, best place to kind of grow up professionally. And Christy Custer, who also works with me at Generation Esports, she was my coworker, and then she was my principal. And what's fun is she's now the Chief Innovative Officer at Generation Esports. So she is and always has been one of the best leaders I've ever known, massive mentor to me. Her philosophy when she was the principal is she would say, my job is to bulldoze from the front and cheer from the back. And what she meant by that was when her staff had something that they knew was going to be good for students, she would bulldoze from the front to get rid of any obstacles to make it possible for us to do that. And then she would cheer us on from the back, which I think is just the best philosophy for leadership. And oh my gosh, what we were able to accomplish at that school was incredible, because we were valued and we were trusted to do what whatever we wanted to do that we knew was good for students. So I was the science teacher and the character education coordinator. And like I say, I could do whatever I, in my professional opinion, felt was going to be good for my students.
Yeah.
And it's sad because a lot of teachers don't feel like they're treated like professionals, and they don't get to make the decisions that they know are best for students. So for me to get to have my first job working in a place where I felt valued and supported really allowed me to innovate.
Yeah.
And so I started a fishing program. We went camping. We learned wilderness survival. I wrote a grant for so much fun.
So
I wrote
cool.
a grant for a community garden that we helped retirement home residents and elementary school students work in the garden with my students. I wrote a grant and got a therapy dog to bring to the school. We did mock interviews so that every single student in the school got a mock interview with a community member. We learned about parasites. We were the Kansas Green School of the Year, and we were twice nationally recognized as a National School of Character. After that, Christy and I co-authored a character education curriculum that we shared for free throughout the state and even the country. And it was such an amazing place to work, to be able to be trusted and given the freedom to do what I knew was going to be good for students and to be so supported. And, I just think sometimes if only other teachers could feel that supported in all schools, imagine what they could do. It would be amazing. Go ahead.
No, I want to go. You said the freedom of teachers to do kind of what you were able to do in your first career role. Right. What when your experience, and where does that come from? When you're talking to other teachers, why is that an issue?
There's a whole long, many multifaceted, nuanced reasons behind that. A lot of it has to do with the states and what is required, and it's just kind of it's unfortunately kind of the trend in education, where a lot of teachers, they don't get to make decisions about the curriculum they teach. They don't get to make decisions about the tests that they do or how they test or how they teach. And of course, then the teachers are the ones that that get blamed if something goes wrong, when really they're not getting to make a lot of the decisions. And of course, it's different in different schools. And so, that's a very blanket statement, and by no means does that apply to all districts and all schools. But there is a trend where teachers do feel like that. I don't remember how many years ago it was, but there was a Gallup Institute poll, asked different professions the question was something like, how valued are you at your job, and how much does your opinion matter at your job? And coming in below jobs such as truck drivers or custodians, coming in below pretty much all the jobs was teachers. Saying, I do not feel like it's sad. And then they also did a study and found that teaching is the fourth highest stressful job in the United States, higher than air traffic controllers. But then when you compare that to the pay, it just doesn't match up. And so I say all that to say that I'm very grateful for the awesome job that I got to have, because I was a national presidential awardee for excellence in mathematics and science teaching, and a Milken educator. And people would say, you do all these great things. And I would say, all teachers would do all these great things if only they could. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's funny that you mentioned about the air traffic controllers, because my buddy, he is in the air traffic control. He works at a hub, and so they get paid a lot more in this hub because they manage multiple towers or whatever. But he was telling me that the stress and the pay in the towers, like at a small airport, is actually half the pay that he gets, and it's funny, but that's still way more than teachers get. Which is,
yeah.
Did you grow up in Colorado, or did you grow up?
I did.
Okay.
Yes, I grew up in a charming little town called Brush, Colorado, out on the northeastern plains. So not close to the mountains, but close enough to drive. And so we spent a lot of time in the mountains as well.
Okay.
It's a great place to grow up.
I love that. And so, how the transition for after college? Where did you go to college again?
So I did my first year at the University of Northern Colorado in Greeley. And then I got married to a guy from Kansas. Wonderful man. His name's John. Shout out to my husband, who is incredible. Just, I adore that guy. But he drugged me out to Kansas. I'm being facetious. Kansas is a great state, and I loved living out there. And so I finished my other 2 years of my bachelor's degree at Fort Hays State University. And then that's also where I went through the transition to teaching program and got my master's.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So now where are you living?
So now I live by Fort Collins, Colorado on the Front Range.
Okay.
Yep. So moved back to be close to family, which is kind of part of the story of how I got to where I am.
Love that. Christy says Kansas is amazing.
It is. There's such good people. And the sunsets. You don't get the Kansas sunsets in Colorado.
Well, because you have beautiful mountains.
Because you have beautiful mountains, yes, but it's a different kind of beauty. You know, when you have the Kansas sunset, the big blue sky over the wheat fields, and then you have the sunset, and it just fills the entire sky. Yeah. Kansas is a great state.
Okay. Yeah. Well, now you're going to get to play a game now.
Oh boy.
Okay, you got this.
Yep.
You can do this.
Okay.
I think what would be fun is for you to play a game while you play, to try and tell me the story of your career going into working for Generation Esports, and how a little more in depth, a little bit of playing a round of fishtails pinball.
This is gonna be sad.
And then tell me this whole. What I want to know is, was there an exodus for you? So let's start the game up. Okay. I'm on it on my end. Okay, go for it. And when you get that fish man ready, let me know when you're actually playing.
Okay, I'm playing.
Okay, so was there an exodus for you to get out of education? Like, I say exodus because that's the term I've obviously been hearing a lot about education and teachers, and you just mentioned how so many people are struggling with the stress of the job and the pay.
Yeah.
So what was your catalyst for leaving education and coming into esports?
Well, before I get into that, because it was kind of a progression. So I want to kind of go back to where I was talking about how we were so supported to do whatever we wanted in our job. And so, as I said, Christy supported whatever the teachers wanted to do. I am not doing very well on this pinball game. So our social studies teacher, his name's Mike Russell. He brought up to Christy one time, and I think it was actually, I know we talked about it in a staff meeting. He said, there's this whole group of kids that is not engaged, and I want to try to reach them, and I think the way to reach them would be through having a video game class, because they're all interested in video games, but they're not interested in school. And so we talked about what he wanted to do, and I was supportive because, hey, whatever will help students, whatever will make students feel like they have some support, then let's absolutely do it. And of course, Christy was supportive. She saw the value in it, and so so they started doing it. And like I said, I was supportive, but I have to admit, there was part of me that was like, hey, this is going to be great for some kids. But, it'll have an effect, but not a huge effect. And in the meantime, as you could notice from the things that I was talking about, what I did at the school, I was all about getting kids outside. I was, getting kids outside for a healthy inside, like have them outside to help their internal wellness, internal well-being. And so they started on this, and I have to admit, I had no idea what the impact would be of the gaming stuff that Mike started. And I hated to admit that it was more of an impact than all of my outdoor stuff. And at first I was like, but then I thought, no, I don't hate that. I'm happy about that, because whatever will help students is what I'm all about. And I'm so glad that Mike was able to identify that there was a whole group of students that needed that. And I think the reason why maybe it had a bigger impact than all of the outdoor stuff that I'd been doing for years and years was because the type of student who was involved in the outdoor stuff was often the type of student who was already willing to be involved. And there's a group of students in all schools throughout the country that is just not interested in the outdoors. I wish they were. I wish every kid was into camping and camping, but they're just not. But what they are into is video games. And for Mike and Christy to have that wisdom to say, we need to meet these students where they're at and engage them with what they want to be engaged with, it was a game changer, and it completely changed our school culture. They put it in the first period class at an alternative high school and got over 90% attendance rate. Disengaged students became leaders. They became team captains. The school pride, they were wearing jerseys with our school colors, and our school mascot, and there were all these connections and friendships that were being made, and just it made a complete difference. In fact, we had a student who had experienced a lot of trauma, and because of that was almost nonverbal. And this student started speaking and started interacting with staff and interacting with fellow students because the student suddenly had something at school that they connected with. It was absolutely incredible. Yes. And so even more results were evident when students started seeing that their interest in video games could actually lead them to future careers. And they found hope, because a lot of these students felt like there was nothing they were ever going to be able to be good at. They were good at video games, but that didn't have a place in the real world. Well, the esports industry is huge. There's a lot of jobs in there that don't have anything to do with actually playing the game, but with the industry. And so Mike and Christy, in their wisdom, they both agreed that they wanted the school esports program to be academic, not just an after school thing. And we really couldn't do it after school anyway, because a lot of our students had to work to support their families. So they wanted to incorporate it into a legitimate academic class that could be offered during the school day. But of course, there was no esports curriculum. There was no gaming curriculum at the time. And so using their own time, they wrote a curriculum, which included the esports career connections that I just mentioned, as well as personal, physical health, mental health, soft skills, career skills, and technology skills. And because they're amazing people, and educators in general are just amazing, giving people, they decided to share this curriculum for free, because they wanted, and I can remember Christy saying, and she said this about the character education curriculum that we wrote as well. She said the schools who really need it aren't going to be able to pay for it. And so why I love, and I'll talk about this a little bit later, but why I love Generation Esports is because it didn't start out as a, hey, let's make money. It started out as a, how can we help kids? How can we help teachers and help kids? So since they wanted to give it out for free, they put it online, and it got noticed by a little company called Microsoft. And and then Microsoft kind of put it on their site for educators to see, and it got downloaded, I believe, over 400,000 times.
Amazing.
Yeah, I mean, so it exploded, and of course, how much money did Mike and Christy get for that? Zero, right? By design, because they wanted it to be free.
Mm-hmm.
So now, kind of to address the question that you asked about the Exodus.
Yeah.
So I very reluctantly left CHSM in 2020 because I'd been away from family for a long time. My grandpa died, and I just realized, and I realized I see my family 2 or 3 times a year. I have to be back where my family is, and pretty much all of my family is in Colorado.
Yeah.
And so it was a hard year to decide, because I felt like I had to choose, leave one family for the other, because I felt like CHSM was a family to me. My coworkers were my best friends there, and so I finally very reluctantly decided that yes, the decision I needed to make was to move back to Colorado to be with family. And I decided I would tell the students after spring break. Well, spring break is when COVID hit, and so I never really got to say goodbye.
Oh, wow.
Which was really, really, really hard. But I moved to Colorado. And when I got to Colorado, I went to teach at a traditional public school. And at this traditional public school, I got a taste of what teaching is like for many teachers in public education. I felt like I went from being a total rock star teacher, national presidential awardee, and Milken educator, totally in love with teaching, to totally burnt out in 3 years. Not only did I move away from the freedom of the alternative school setting, I moved at the beginning of COVID, like I said, and COVID made teaching so much more difficult. And even though we are several years post-COVID, the damage that COVID did to teaching hasn't really gotten better. And because of that, there's this massive teacher exodus. And I hate to admit that I was part of the massive teacher exodus, because I quit also. At the end of last year, I said, I cannot do this anymore. And part of it was because in my situation, I remember having other teachers tell me when I said, I just don't think I can do this. The advice that I got from other very good teachers that I really respected was, Heidi, you have to just be able to develop some apathy, because there's so much that you don't have control over. Yeah. There's so many things that you as a teacher know are not good for students, but you have absolutely no power to change it. You just have to develop some apathy, otherwise it's going to eat you alive. And I couldn't do it. I couldn't be apathetic about it. And you hear sometimes people will talk about their kids' teachers and they just don't care. Well, it's a learned helplessness. Because either in some situations, and again, I do not mean to imply that it is this way at all schools, and I also don't mean to fault the school that I was in, but this is just kind of the nature of the job, where you either feel like you have to just become apathetic and tell yourself, learned helplessness, don't care so much about this, or else it just eats you alive. And so I felt like a failure leaving teaching, but I knew that I couldn't leave education totally. So during those 3 years that I was in Colorado teaching, Mike and Christy were really growing the esports program, and they joined up with a company called Generation Esports, and they started writing more curriculum to help other schools experience those same awesome results that we saw at CHSM. And so I, of course, stayed in contact with Christy and Mike because they're my friends. And I mentioned, before, Christy is now the Chief Innovative Officer of Generation Esports, and Mike is the Chief Financial Officer now. And so since I had extensive experience in curriculum writing, they hired me to write curriculum for the Generation Esports company. And it was really neat, because they didn't hire me because, I'm their friend. They hired me because I spent 11 years working with them, establishing, how we work really well together and how we understand each other. And at the alternative high school, I wrote a lot of curriculum, and so they knew that I had the skills for that. And so that's what I do now. I get to work for Generation Esports, and I write curriculum for their gaming concepts curriculum.
So awesome. So I want to go back to Milken Award winner.
Yeah.
So I've got this website, the Milken Educator Award. What was you've got quite a few awards. And so I appreciate you talking about your kind of struggle with, look, I love education and I got these awards and then I left. So tell me a little about the Milken Educator Award and how that came about and what it means to you.
Well, the Milken Educator Award is so fun because the teacher does not know they're getting it. Teacher, principal, the educator does not know they're getting it. You don't apply for it.
Okay.
And in fact, I didn't know what it was. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I'd ever even really heard of it. But they find you. And I had some wonderful role models in my life, Christy being one of them, who I don't know what went on behind the scenes for them to establish the application or whatever it was. I still don't know, but I know that they did something to help the Milken Family Foundation, find me, I guess. And so grateful for that. But the fun thing is the teacher has no idea what's happening. And so all you know is there's an assembly. And I remember being a little bit, not annoyed, but just a little bit like, we have a lot of stuff to do and we have an assembly. And so we're in the assembly, and as far as any of us know, it's the Commissioner of Education for Kansas is going to be talking. And so I'm standing in the back and I'm making sure the students are all being good and all, staying off their phones and listening. And then they start talking about this award, and I'm like, wow, that's really cool. And I start thinking about, and then they say, some teacher here is going to get the award. And of course, and you'll hear pretty much every Milken educator will say this as part of their story. They started thinking about all of their coworkers. So I started thinking about all of my coworkers, Mike and Cheryl and Michelle and all these coworkers, and why they deserved it and how excited I was for them. And then they called my name, and it was quite a shock. And it meant a lot to me because it was, how would it not?
Right, right.
It was really amazing to get, 15 minutes of fame. But I also had quite a bit of imposter syndrome or guilt.
Sure.
Because I felt like, every single staff member at CHSM, we all worked so hard. So much harder than what is expected of us. And we were such a team, and I did not feel, and I know that I didn't work harder than the rest of them. We all worked together as a team. And so, but of course the Milken Family Foundation can only recognize one, right? And so I remember feeling really just kind of guilty about it. Like I felt bad that I got it and the rest of the teachers didn't get recognized. And so there was a financial award that came with it. And so I used some of that to, buy them breakfast, and I bought them some things that I thought that they would like. But, of course it's not, I couldn't really feel like I made up to them the fact that I got the attention when all of them deserved it just as much. So, but it was really neat. And I guess what it means to me is it puts me in a position where I feel I have the responsibility to speak up for other teachers, because I was so spoiled to get to be in a job where I had the freedom and the support to do whatever I wanted. And so I was able to, and then I was recognized for it. And I feel like it gives me the responsibility to where I need to speak up for the teachers who want to do all the cool things that I got to do, who want to innovate, who want to, change their students' lives, but they feel like they can't. And they're running up against roadblocks. And like I say, I got a taste for this when I was at the traditional public school, because I had plans and I had some really awesome ideas for what I was going to do. But every corner there was well, we can't because of this. We can't because of this. We can't because of this.
Wow.
You know, and so that's what it means to me, is I need to try to speak up for other teachers.
I love that. I love that, Heidi. Well, as we wrap up, I want to, when we were both at FETC, when a bunch of us were at FETC in Orlando, I had captured some content of you. You had said you had repeated to about 1,000 different people, if not more, this story about how esports and schools and the value of this new mental health study in the JMIR publications, and that was done this previous year, or this year, I guess. And so I had some fun. It was some fun content, and I wish I had mic'd you up, really, to be honest. But I think that's what this is for today, is to give you that opportunity. I don't know if you can get in the same mindset that you were then, because you were like, listen, guys, this is amazing. And you were just exploding with awesome.
I get a little fired up.
It was great. It was amazing. And we all loved it. And it was really fun to watch. So I don't know if I can recreate this for you. So just imagine you've said this now 70 times to educators who walk up and say, yeah, I heard there's video games in their schools now, like whatever they may say, right? When they walk up, or what is Minecraft, anything like that. And so I'm going to show this kind of the publication on the screen, but I would love for you to give that same presentation as if I were the person walking up and saying, why should I do this? And what is this study I have on this piece of paper? So, okay, mindset, ready? And by the way, Christy says watching her get that award was the best. And Mike says she bought me a cart. I thought it first said car, but it said cart.
I wish. Didn't get that much money.
so nice of you. So nice of you. Okay, so mindset. We're in Orlando. It's hot. It's Florida. And now we're in this big space. It's real loud. There's 20 people in front of you, as there were many times. Why esports? Why is this study valuable?
Well, I think the thing that you have to understand is that it's not about video games. Video games and esports is the conduit for the valuable skills that we're teaching kids, right? So Christy, kind of the way she came up with the concept, or a story that she tells a lot of times, is that when she was an English teacher, a student walked into her class and said, I hate English. And she said, okay, what do you like? And he thought about it for a while, and he said, well, I like automotives. I like cars and automotives. And she said, okay, well, how about instead of reading Shakespeare, you read the manual on how to change the transmission on this car. I'm elaborating a little bit. I don't know exactly the details, but the point is she had him write like instructions or write essays over how to the different parts of a car. I don't know anything about cars, so changing the philibulator in the like in the turn signal fluid, whatever, right? But she go ahead. Yeah. So she had him fulfill all of his English requirements using the conduit of automotive technology, and he loved it, and he wanted more and more and more and more. And she discovered that you can teach the skills, you can teach English skills without making kids read Shakespeare. And that's kind of the same thought here, is you can teach kids skills through many different themes, through many different conduits. And because so many students are interested in video games right now, you can teach them. They're willing to learn a lot if you set it to the theme of video games. And so, for example, one of the curricula that we wrote is called shoutcasting. Well, shoutcasting is journalism where you talk about what's happening in a live video game tournament, right? Well, you can teach the journalism content using shoutcasting, but the kids love it. We also have one called streaming, which is speech. But if you tell a kid they have to listen to speech or take a speech class, a lot of them are going to be like, oh, I'm not so interested. But if you put a webcam in front of them and you call it streaming, all of a sudden they all want to take it. And so it's using that to be able to get kids interested. But that's the academic part. There's a whole other aspect of this, and this is the well-being of students and what it does for their social and emotional well-being. And as teachers, we all know, or educators, we know that if you sat down some middle school or high school students and you say, today we're going to learn about friendship and honesty, I mean, you're going to lose them. They're going to roll their eyes and they're going to check out. But good teachers kind of learn how to slip those skills into like regular learning, so that the students, you're kind of tricking them into learning how to be a good person without specifically saying, today we're going to learn how to be responsible. And so video games do that, because there's so many life skills that you can teach through video games. But we know that it's hard to go to a school board and say, hey, we want to teach video games. And so that's why we have made these very academically rigorous, so that the students are not just learning about video games, they're learning interactive media and journalism, but they're learning it through the content of the video game. But back to the student well-being, like I said, when we put this into the school at CHSM, the difference that it made was so astounding. And the student who wasn't speaking, who started speaking, and we wanted this to be something that all schools could have. And so they put what's called mental health moments into these curricula. And we got really good at this as alternative high school teachers, is putting these, like, hey, let's relate this to the real world. Let's relate this to how do you be a good person? Let's talk about honesty and relationships in real world context, so that it's not so cheesy. And so they put these they call them mental health moments, into the curriculum, and they're embedded within it. And so the students they're not in the mindset of, oh, we're learning about, character education. They're in the mindset of, we're learning real life skills, but let's talk about how, that reflects in our well-being and in our social and emotional health. And it had such a huge difference that they decided to have a study done on it, because we wanted to be able to show, have data to back up why this is so important. And so this study that was done by Chris Jensen, that's in JMIR, shows that the students' well-being, their self-esteem increased when this curriculum was used, and the mental health moments in the curriculum was used. The self-esteem of students increased across genders, across all demographic areas, and marked increases. And it just shows that you can teach those things that we know are really important. You can teach students how to be honest, and why honesty is important, and why being a good friend is important. And you can do it in a genuine way that isn't cheesy, that doesn't make them and the teachers totally check out because they're being forced to teach this particular social emotional content that they don't have any buy-in to. But it can be something that is exciting. And so that's why I love Generation Esports, is because, first of all, like I said, it did not start out as a company trying to make money. It started out as compassionate educators in an alternative high school that saw broken kids and were trying to come up with a way to help these broken kids. And it worked. And then they wanted to share it with everyone for free, because that's the type of people that they are. And then it grew and it turned into a business. And of course, we can't still give it all for free because we need to eat, and but the purpose behind it has always been to help kids. And this study shows that it really, truly does help kids. And it's not about video games, and we're not trying to say, oh, kids should always be playing video games and video games are the only good thing in the world. There's a lot to life, and we also talk about that in our curriculum. We talk about, what does video game addiction look like? How do you make sure that you're not spending too much time on video games? What other things should you be doing besides just video games, right? But it is a tool that can be used to benefit students. And we really feel like we have unlocked the secret to making students feel like there's something relevant that they care about, that they can learn, and it makes a difference in their mental health and school culture and attendance and engagement and school pride and everything. It's huge. It's not video games, it's student well-being.
Amazing. Heidi, you are an incredible leader. You're an incredible educator. Thank you so much for all of that. That was wonderful. I want to finish with what you think the future of gaming, esports, curriculum, education might be, those tied in. What do you think the future holds when it comes to this world you're now working in? What do you foresee happening, for the better or for the worse?
What I hope happens is that more schools, that all schools, can implement an esports program, whether that be an after-school esports program that is functioning as a team, where students who are interested in sports or band or debate can find a place where they belong and where they can exhibit leadership and teamwork skills. Or I hope that they bring it into the classroom during the school day, where they can use it to teach life lessons, teach career skills, teach soft skills, teach technology skills, teach real academic things during the school day. Or even better, I hope they do both. My vision for what would happen is not that video games would take over the world and that all kids would only be playing video games and that's all they would do, but that it can be used in a healthy way as an engagement tool to help students have a place they belong at school, so that students will see the correlation between, I'm good at video games are a part of school, therefore I'm good at school.
Wow, that's a t-shirt. That is a t-shirt if I ever heard one.
That's a Christie quote.
the t-shirts we shall make. Heidi, thanks so much for playing some pinball and hanging out and talking about education and curriculum and mental health and your journey. It was really cool to get to know you, because we haven't really spent much time talking, and we've been in the same spaces for a little while. So thank you for coming on the show. You did amazing, by the way. You did superb. Even when you played your game, a pinball, you can now officially say you've been a part of the Invite Sent family, that you've played a game on stream and was asked hard questions. And so you are a hero.
Awesome.
To everyone.
Well, I sure appreciate it. Thank you so much for having an interest in what I had to say.
I think we all do, and there'll be plenty of clips of all the amazing stuff you said today. So thank you again.
Thank you, Bubba. Thank you for what you do for esports and for students and for everything. Appreciate you.
Just follow in your lead. Okay, feel free. I'm going to shut down the show. You can close out the control room and you're done. go enjoy pinball on your own time. And I'm sure Mike and Chris are like, yeah, we should all play pinball or Uno or something together.
What else do we have to do?
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Heidi. Appreciate you.
All right. Thank
See
you.
ya.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you all so much for being here today. Appreciate you. That was fun. Playing the game. Pinball is difficult. Pinball is difficult. I didn't think I was gonna. I mean, I've played League of Legends on this show, and that's a difficult game to play for sure when you're trying to talk and answer questions. Usually, the games like that and Fortnite sometimes, Valorant, I can't even get my mind to know what question to ask ready. I need to have them in my face because it's just so difficult. But thank you guys so much again for being here. I appreciate it. Check out on Friday. We're going to be hanging out with Adrian Molaire. We're going to actually play a game called Genshin Impact. Genshin Impact. If you haven't played Genshin Impact, it's actually pretty cool. It reminds me a lot of it's like anime, more anime than the new Zelda Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom is. It's pretty cool. I played a little bit. But on Friday at 4 Eastern, 3 Central, we'll be doing that, and I'm super pumped. Also, later today, I get to be on a CDW show talking about non-esport careers, which we've talked a little bit about here today. So thank you, everybody, for being on the show and checking it out. If you'd like to be a guest, please let me know. Amazing stuff. Stay amazing. I'll see you next time. Bye.
Hello there, gamers and mental health enthusiasts. Today, we're diving into a groundbreaking study that explores the intersection of scholarly gaming and mental health education and how it can impact the self-esteem of adolescents. Picture this, a world where scholarly gaming isn't just about mastering technology-based career skills or dominating the world of video game business. No, it's a world where gaming becomes a gateway to improving mental health. 3 visionary educators and a school-based health intervention expert came together to create a curriculum that aligns with academic guidelines from the International Society for Technology Education. This curriculum spans 40 lessons, delivered over 14 weeks with a minimum of 120 minutes per week. But here's the twist. 83 schools were invited to participate, but they were divided into 2 groups, those with mental health moments and those without. The non-mental health moment group got the scholarly gaming curriculum alone, while the mental health moment group got an extra layer of education. Mental health moments were embedded into 27 lessons, integrating concepts from the PERMA framework and the Collaborative Academic, Social, and Emotional Learning Standards, otherwise known as CASEL. Now, let's meet our players. 471 participants from both groups, with almost 75% in high school, many experiencing scholarly gaming for the first time. A majority were male, and the racial diversity was broad. At the start, the average self-esteem score was 17.9, with 22.1% reporting low self-esteem. But hold on, the game's just beginning. As the study progressed, it revealed some fascinating results. While 57.7% of participants with low self-esteem at the beginning reported average self-esteem post-intervention, the mental health moments group stole the spotlight. Self-esteem scores improved by 8.3% in the mental health moments group, compared to no change in the non-mental health moments group. How's that for a power-up? Some students even shifted from abnormally low self-esteem scores to normal ranges. The message is loud and clear. Educators, healthcare providers, and adolescent advocates pay attention. Non-traditional educational instructions, like scholarly gaming, combined with mental health moments, can significantly improve students' well-being. And there you have it, a journey through the power of scholarly gaming and mental health moments. Remember, your self-esteem matters, and sometimes, all it takes is a little extra support to level up. Thanks for joining us on this adventure. Until next time, keep gaming, keep learning, and most importantly, keep believing in yourself.